Go ahead.
I'll officially call this meeting to order of the Seneca County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, July 19th. If you'll join us during the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Kirschner will lead us with the prayer.
Please pause a moment for a short prayer. Heavenly Father, please be with us tonight as you make decisions. Please guide us with your wisdom. Also, a couple of nights of rain wouldn't hurt. We ask this for your Son, our Lord.
And roll call.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller?
Here.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Here.
Prior to having the signing of the journal in the minutes, just a thank you, they're not here, but to Eden Township for allowing us to utilize this nice new facility that, according to the plaque in the back wall, was dedicated in October of 2015. This is their regular meeting site, so it's very nice, and as we do our quarterly night meetings, it's a great place for us to hold this meeting, so we appreciate them working with us and allowing us to be here. Okay, we'll have the signing of the journal, and I'll accept the motion to approve the DVD recording from the previous board session, which was Tuesday, July 12th, and the written index from that meeting.
Also seconded.
And a motion and seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Approved. Thank you. I'll start with any adjustments to the printed agenda, things that we need to add. We understand we have Troy Judy with the Bachelor Group coming. So,
You ready?
all right, so he should be arriving, and when he does, we'll get him worked in on the agenda. We have Charlie Watkins, our Regional Planning Director, here with an amendment for a CDBG program for the 15-year. That we will put under old business. And anybody else have anything else that needs to be added? Okay. Seeing none, let's start with that old business. Let's go ahead and have Charlene. We'll put you up first. You've got to move on, and we also don't forget.
Okay, we were awarded the CDBG grant for fiscal year 2015, and when it was written, it was the admin and fair housing were not broken out. So they lumped it all together under the project, and it shouldn't have been lumped all under the project. So, on advice from the ODSA, I have done a letter from Seneca County Commissioners to signed by Holly that requests an amendment to our scope of services. It would take effect as soon as they approve it, and there's no guarantee that they're going to approve the adjustment. We just have to request it. So the adjustment is that they reduce the allocation to public rehabilitation activity to $80,000, so that's for the handicap accessible bathrooms. Increase the allocation to fair housing to $1,500, which is zero right now. And increase the CDBG allocation to administration to $7,100, which is zero right now. The outcomes will remain the same for the rehabilitation portion because we're only going to do the ADA bathroom. And then in fair housing, beneficiaries, the whole county benefits from it, so the whole populace, and 38.2% of the low to moderate income. We're going to hold 2 outreach seminars, which have been completed. Distribution of outreach materials, 500 brochures to 10 locations in Seneca County has been completed. And distribution of outreach and educational materials at the Seneca County Fair with approximately 55,000 in attendance. So we just need to have Holly's signature saying that it's okay for me to submit this, and I'll submit it tomorrow to the ODSA. Any questions, concerns, issues?
The only comment I'll make is that we did bring to advisement, actually when it was brought up from previous director to me in a conversation or email that, oh, we forgot to put the fair housing in there, what are we going to do? And I said, send a note out to all of us, because you've got to have it in there. And if you're going to do that program and to put it in there, and I think I shared that email with sense, but it didn't happen. It never got done. So appreciate you finding it and correcting it, because like I said, you're doing it. I can sign in your copy, but I printed it to have one in front of me, so we sent the draft over, but the signed one.
Either one's fine.
Are you okay with that? We don't need a resolution for this. Or do we?
I talked to Tanya, though, she said we would only need a resolution if they approve the amendment. So we just have to wait for them
This is
to
asking
approve it.
for it.
Yep, we're asking for permission from them.
Everybody okay with asking for it?
And I think you should be aware that Seneca County's allocation for 2015 for the CDBG grant was $91,000. That was what the state had set aside, and HUD had set aside for Seneca County. When you applied, you only applied for the 88.6, and I cannot go back and get the difference.
CDBG's Community Development Block Grant.
So I just think we should know that going forward, we definitely need to explore what our allocation is and make sure we try to maximize that allocation. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, next under old business, we had down the Justice Center. And Stacey, I think you had some stuff that we needed to address. You shared some documents with us.
Yes, I think I forwarded them to you guys last Thursday. I had a meeting with Lynette Cameron and Dr. Hosky from the NCOESC last week because you all had indicated, let's see how we can get this loan to move forward. So they gave me some guidance on how to get that started, and they also gave me a memorandum of understanding that I emailed to you. And I had Derek look at it as well. I don't know if you guys have any comments on it. They're putting in a 7.5% administration fee and reimbursement for the legal fees.
Who wants to go first?
Somebody had it.
All right.
It appears to me as though we're trying to take care of some past costs that were incurred in operating into this loan administration. 7.5%, I understand. I believe that can be absorbed as part of the proceeds of the loan. The attorney fees are really unrelated to this particular item, to this particular $7,500,000 interest-free loan. So, according to what Derek said, that was along that line for 7 or 8 points. But the bottom line to it was that he had some concerns in some other areas regarding the MOU, but he wouldn't further consider looking at it until we advised them that we would pay the 7.5, if we desire to pay the 7.5, to pay that. But the attorney fees are a totally different subject and not involved with this particular transaction.
So what are the attorney fees, do we know?
It's about $34,000.
Yeah.
There was something in which
The attorney fees really have nothing to do with the loan application. They have
$32,200.
a lot to do with some of the things that did work previously for the Justice Center. So, I don't know what you need, but
So your recommendation is that we would accept the 7.5% admin fee for the grant.
Yeah.
That they were able to, but the attorney's fees is still under this discussion.
Except the 7.5% fee that they are proposing, pending Derek's review of the rest of the memorandum and his approval of the language in the memorandum.
As I looked through the memorandum, I highlighted a few things, and this was before reading Derek's comments. I mean, I saw them in the email, and I printed this stuff out and looked through it. There's a number of things. I highlighted and underlined the things that I was concerned with, and I am not comfortable at all with the 7.5% fee. It's drawdowns of the payments of our 0% interest loan. I read it to be an above and not as part of the $500,000, so now we're paying back $500,000 plus this $37,500 at 7.5% to them, and it says upon execution of the MOU. That was pointed out in Derek's comments as well as being an issue, that why would we pay that up front before the work is performed? the dates in this thing bothered me because it says, they're wrong. It says in January, each party adopted and approved the authorized resolution to apply for the local government grant that was approved by the board in 2014, in August of 2014, discussed August 19th, passed August 26th with the 2-to-1. And there was actually 5 entities to that. It talks about the parties, it doesn't name those 5, and I know Derek did bring that up. I just put there were 5, but he has got that in here, and I know they're not all benefiting from the loan, who uses the loan, who should pay for it, but we need to know that the state agrees to that. So those are my initial comments, and obviously if we're going to, I totally agree that I don't know why you pay for legal fees, it wasn't for work for the county. And then again, we're eligible for this because it's the joint justice center, so it's the city and the county, and I believe their description of parties is we need both the city and the county.
So initially, I had asked Doc to change it because he had it listed as Seneca County and the city of Tiffin, but because of our agreement with the city of Tiffin to not exceed the $3 million, the city's going to put that money in basically our account to pay all the bills. So it would actually be just basically the county paying that back. But Lynette was going to check with the state because we didn't want to the loan to suffer because we changed the wording in the MOU, but the city's not, we don't want the city to have to try to pay it or give the city back their money, that the county would just pay it, so.
Okay, so the county will get the 500,000 plus minus the potential admin fees if we agree to that. But then the county's got to pay it back, the whole 500,000,
Yes.
not the city. Because the city's
Gonna
part of the 3 million
Yeah.
topped, that's it. So any additional funds that were got will go on our call.
Yes, and that's what we had agreed to, so.
Yeah, we just want to make sure the language is as it should be. I think that the solution to me is relatively simple, and that is that we're going to ask Derek to rewrite the MOU to include the 7.5% fee if it is to be part of the cost. I mean, in other words, I don't want to pay another $37,000.
That'll be
Just
additional. I can't take that out of 500,000.
So we'll take it out of our.
Lynette said that I can't put in administrative costs. I can't pay for administrative costs out of the grant. I can only pay for the engineering costs, the architect's fees, which will far exceed the 500,000. So technically,
I mean, is she certain of this?
that is what she told me.
Yeah, at the time when they applied for it, that's what I recall too.
Well, the tough question here is, can anybody else administer?
I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't hear.
Can anyone else administer this loan, this grant? Does it have to be? Yeah,
I believe they applied for it.
yeah, that's not my question.
Don't know the answer to that question, but do we need it? I mean, we would get this project done without this loan.
Well, I think that it would be unwise of us to turn down a $500,000 interest-free loan from the state. I mean, extremely unwise.
And 7.5% is not interest free. So.
Well, that's not the question. The question is, we got $500,000 that's coming from the state. We are debating whether or not to pay the $30,000.
I feel a little differently on the 37.5 because I was with it at the very beginning, and I have a problem with the attorney's fees. Okay, let's set that aside as we have done. But we were not in a position through regional planning or anything to have the expertise to apply for these loans, and they took it on themselves to apply for loans. So I think that admin fee is justified there.
And they did get the admin fee when they did the study for us, that was allowed to be part of the cost, was admin fees for them. But in the loan, they said it was not.
And the loan was up to 500,000 because they had 5 entities named and receiving part of that money. So even though this is written because the city is capped, it is for a joint justice center. The 5 entities, I guess that's up to the state to define how that works, but
But look, even if you take $500,000 and apply $37,500 to it, that is still 1.5% a year. So you're not, even in today's environment, we're paying 3.2% for the bond. Is that right?
That was the total,
Total all-in rate,
total on, I thought that was 2.7.
2.7.
2.7.
Anyway,
It's
that's
significantly
less than half, or substantially less, I should say, than any rate that we would pay for any money today. Again, in my opinion, it's not prudent to walk away from money that is offered by the state that will cost us substantially less than we could get money for anywhere else.
We don't have anything to vote on tonight because we don't have a final document. but
Well,
yes.
what I would ask is that Derek prepare a new MOU, stating, putting it together as we want to put it together, so that we could then review that, pass that, and give that to them for their review. I think that maybe we're reacting, we're on our heels here as opposed to being proactive and saying, this is what we'll do.
And I didn't know I was.
No, I understand that.
Plan.
But I think it's our place to put this together, our place being the county, and put the language in it that we feel comfortable with. But I too am a wish was lower in that, because of the amount of work that was done, because of the number of things that occurred, that, I don't really have a problem paying administrative fee on this deal.
Attorney's fee is totally separate. Now, if they can justify that was the attorney's fees that was related to applying for this loan, then I may feel a little differently. But if it was other issues, they would have to justify it. Again, outline of when the cost occurred and what it was for.
All those were sent to Derek to the invoices.
Pardon?
The invoices for the attorneys were sent to Derek to review.
Yeah, I think it's a question of fairness here. Have they performed work that is in line with the fee of $37,500? Again, my answer, I believe, being involved in this for a couple of years now, a year and a half, is probably yes. Do the attorney fees have anything to do with this loan? No.
We don't know that.
Well, it's a totally separate issue. Totally separate issue. And if they did, they're not just the county's responsibility, they're responsibility of everybody spending involved in the project. So that's off the
Our
table.
commission to perform that work for us.
Right. That's off the table. So I think that we ought to put a memorandum together that we put together, including covenants that we feel comfortable with, and to really get an exact answer. I'm not questioning anybody's knowledge, but I do think that we need to talk to the folks that administer these grants in Columbus or this loan to make certain that we can include that $37,500 in whatever cost. If we can't, we can. Most other grants, which are really absorb that in the grant.
Most grants, you get an admin fee that you can absorb. Sometimes it's a couple percent, sometimes 10%.
Now, this is a loan and not a grant, so maybe it could be.
And with the loan, that I would agree that there would probably be quite a difference.
So,
The discussions that you were on the board then in August, I never got the impression that it was going to be, it was like, we got the comprehensive, I don't know which plan, one of the plans, and this is gonna make this application a little easier. And even the night he presented this, I didn't, excuse me, it was the night, it was during the day, I didn't know that he was gonna talk about a loan from the Justice Center, I was surprised by it then. So, and we thought it was a no-brainer, 0% interest loan and all that, but hindsight's 2020, we've gotten to where we are with getting our funding in line for the project. That's why I'd say snubbing our nose at the state, that we don't need it, but there's a lot of work that we've spent on going through this to try to put it in place. And
I'll disagree. I think there were certain assumptions made on both ends. At that point, I know there wasn't any talk of any fees, but I think there were certain assumptions made that there would be some additional paid work. Nobody said it, nobody agreed to it, but I think that was the assumption all the way through. So my motion would be that we give it to our council prosecutor to review and rewrite the MOU and submit it to us for our approval. soon as possible.
So we'll talk to Derek. Stacy? Yep. Correct.
I would agree with that.
And as for, us administrating the program in NCOAC, I don't know if that's,
I think
that question I didn't ask, and I didn't know, I mean, is that slapping them in the face or not? I don't know.
well, I think we need to know our options.
Okay.
So, we have to at least ask the question. So I would make the motion.
I would make a motion, if you're just asking her to get it. I don't have to grab it. All right, next we have the Museum Task Force. The Museum Task Force has been meeting for a period of about 18 months. And as said before, we greatly appreciate the group that's participated in that. That included the Historical Society, the Barnstein's Museum Foundation, and that group had our, not necessarily last meeting, but a meeting last week with Chuck Gallagher, who was with the group of retired executives, SCORE, who assisted us through that process and kind of officially handed off, helping that group finish things now as we get into, upon the adopting of the documents before us tonight, to Chuck Christensen, who was there and helping us talk through and making sure we're all in agreement with the documents we were presenting. So all along we knew those things had to come before this board for approval. And I don't know, I know Fran is here. Fran was on the Museum Task Force. Jim Supan spoke Museum Task Force. Tanya was at some of the meetings. Mark was at all the meetings. Mark Steinmetz with the Historical Society. And Paula was at meetings. Yep, Paula Crum was at meetings. So whoever, if anybody would like to make any comments on behalf of the documents these two both have and everybody else has, which we got drafts dated 7/14/16, because we had multiple drafts over the years, feels like years, over the last 18 months as we developed these documents, and ready to move on them by action of this board. So, anybody have anything they'd like to say regarding documents? Okay. Yes, Paula.
My name is Paula Crum. I would like a little clarification of the task force. I understand 3 will be from the Seneca County Historical Society, who is operating the museum, and 3 from the foundation, who has money. And I understand how those are selected. They're from our members and from their members. And then there's 3 from that you will choose from your group, it's the commissioners.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few questions about that. I'm not clear as to, I'd like to know what are the qualifications that you want from the people 3 that you are selecting.
Okay.
What is it that you are looking for in those 3?
Okay, good question. And she's referring to things outlined in the advisory board bylaws document is what she's referring to, the organizational structure where the members come from. And as she said, 3, 3, and 3. So I don't know if you can all comment on what we'd be looking for in representatives doing this. I would look for somebody who's not a member of either one of those groups, because you'll have your own members on the group, folks who are engaged in awareness of our community, maybe tied into things related to museums, such as visitor services, Chamber of Commerce.
So groups that
Groups
are
or individuals.
active in the Seneca County, or can it be outside also? Because we
Well, I would say
mentioned
that would have to be a citizen, in my opinion, you have to be a citizen of Seneca County.
That's the tax payer.
You look at the skill set of the people that are on the advisory board. In other words, if there's not a CPA, for example, maybe it would be wise to have somebody like that. If there's not counsel, maybe it would be wise to have someone like that. If there's no one who has any management experience or retail experience, maybe it's wise. It just depends on the composition of the 6 other members. And then I think you look at that and come up with, with folks that hopefully complement that board.
One of the members will be a commissioner, though, correct?
That's up to us. I don't know if that makes, I mean, this board has other rights over the advisory board, but
Well,
it doesn't say it can't be. I mean, it's just 3 appointed by us.
I would strongly recommend, since the purse string, I mean, the vast majority of the purse strings are gonna come from us, that we have somebody that's, I would hate to have a non-commissioner on here dictating how much money we gotta spend when we know how much money we've got. I mean, that's our job, is to handle the purse strings of the community. I would strongly recommend.
This is an advisory board,
Mhm.
the management board of the museum would be the board of commissioners.
Okay, so we still have ultimate authority.
Absolutely, yes.
The other document for a director, that's going to be an employee of the commissioners. So that director's going to have to report to us, but work with the advisory board. These are things that we all talked about as we went through the process. So it's, good thought process how it works. And then we have the operating agreement, which involves both the organizations mentioned with their financial support of moving forward with this type of a structure.
How are they being selected by you? Each one of you commissioners will choose one? Do they come to you? Is it open to the public that you announce saying, I need someone to be on this task force? Do you approach them privately? How is it that you go about selecting your 3? How do you approach them?
Yeah, Paula, typically how we have placed individuals on certain boards with the county advisory boards is that we would individually kind of go out and ask if you're interested on being on it, and then we would bring that candidate back to the full board for approval.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it is. Or maybe some
Sometimes they have
interested citizens that would come to us and say, hey, I'm interested in being on the transportation committee, or I'm interested in being on this museum board. So
Yes,
it
but I'm
works out
just
in a-
wondering if it's not brought out to the public, how are you going to have public come up to you and say, I'd like to be on that task force?
There isn't anything more public than this meeting. It gets put in the paper once a week and we discuss. I know, but you get the same reaction, the same attendance. If I made an announcement in the newspaper tomorrow, we're looking for museum board members, I would be very surprised if we got much reaction. Maybe, but I'm not sure. I think that furthermore, because this is a bit unique because it's going to be a new board. And I'm certain, at least I would come to a 6-member board, the people that are from the local organizations and said, do you folks have anybody in mind? What do you think about this individual? What do you think about that individual? So hopefully the first set of folks on that advisory board would be those that everybody felt comfortable.
And I know we'd also get the word out by putting the feelers out. I'll see John Detweiler somewhere, or the folks with the Visitors Bureau or SIDA, and say, hey, we're going to be looking for someone. If you know of someone, we've got some appointments to make to the museum board. They just can't be members of, these organizations. So, let me know. Or do you know of somebody that I can reach out to or talk to?
If I knew of somebody, would I be allowed to suggest to you?
Suggest to them, you to us, or suggest to them to call us, or either way.
Mark, I don't think anybody's knocking on your door asking to please be on the historical side. Everybody's asking to please let me be on the foundation board. It's difficult to recruit people from time to time. So, the first question might be, can we get a yes from anybody? That might be one.
So you're saying that I could come to you and say, I would suggest so-and-so?
Yeah.
Yeah, a large part of that criteria, it has to be a neutral individual.
Neutral. Now define neutral.
Well, that they don't have special alliance to the society or the foundation. That would be a criteria that I would use.
Because they cannot be a member. They can't be a member of either group.
Well, now there's a big difference there. Affiliation with, I know a lot of people. So does that disqualify anybody that I know to be one of your 3?
No, we're a small community. All of us pretty well know everybody.
But you just said that your 3 has to be neutral.
Well, what I mean by neutral is I would not be prone to have one of the 3 of those people that we have to select if they're on the society.
If they're what?
If they were on on the Storage Society board.
Oh,
I
well,
would not be prone to
Oh, no.
elect one of those, or equally to select somebody that's on the foundation board.
oh, well, I understand
I mean,
that. I'm not
but-
talking about that.
but other than that, that's what I'm saying by neutral. I mean,
Just that.
yeah, like Paula, you know a lot of people, as Fran and Jim and everybody, we know a lot of people, so I mean, to get somebody that's on the board, odds are you're gonna know them anyway. Now, again, we have to make sure that they are as neutral as possible and not isolating, to one group or the other, and to be able to listen openly as discussions and
Anything else?
Try to
Otherwise, we'll go
organize
back
it.
to discussing these documents.
pardon.
I said, otherwise, if she
You,
does anything
you
else.
have already selected one person. Because he was at the meeting.
Well, my comment was, I said, I would like Chuck Christensen, if he wanted to do it, but I haven't talked to Chuck to ask him if he wanted to be that person.
Because.
And I don't even know if he belongs to either one of your groups.
Well, he
But
was a teacher, a professor at Tiffany University. And Fran works there too. So is that a disqualification?
No, I mean, it's like, your mother and my mother are both mothers. I mean, the fact is, we can't eliminate everybody in the community
Because they
because
know
we have
somebody.
some relationship. That's just, that
Okay,
would be
it's
impossible.
duly noted that they have to be unbiased.
Well, yeah, it should be unbiased.
And, okay.
So we are discussing these three documents as a board, so if you have any comments, we have a resolution to adopt them, we can do
Got a
that
question there.
together. Do we want to proceed with questions on the museum? Are you guys okay with that? I mean,
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, so, question is on the operation the corporation operation of your
Operation
base.
operating agreement, yep.
Yeah. What if party A decline and falls out of the whole agreement? What's the county commissioners gonna do in that situation? So let's say the historical society falls out of the agreement with the money. What's the backup? You gonna shut the museum down, or you just
I guess I would think it's, according to the agreement, I think is the best answer we can give you at this moment. I'm not going to speak for either one of you, but is the fact that we have to assess the whole situation then. How's the director doing? What's happening? Do we want to look at anything else? But according to the agreement, if either party is unable to fulfill the commitment of the agreement, then the commissioners can walk away from this cooperating operating agreement.
and shut the museum down?
It doesn't say we're going to shut the museum
I know,
down
but
in there.
still.
We would have to then obviously figure out how, I will speak for myself and myself only, is I have not spent the time I spent for 18 months doing something for the structure and the betterment of the museum to be party favor to closing the museum at any point in time. So just, that's my opinion. I would not want to see that happen. So I'm going to tell you, I would not
think
fight for
on-
that. So
On simplistic terms, let's say the society just bowed out to couldn't come up with the money. In my mind, then we pull out of the agreement, but then the foundation takes over running it. And let's just call a spade here, or vice versa. I mean, that would make that's a pretty bold statement to make, but if one of them pulls out, then the county, our part of the agreement is now void. And then we would have, I don't think any of us as commissioners have any desire to shut the museum down. As a matter of fact, we're trying to get it to operate as efficiently as possible for the whole of the community, period. And that's why Holly has put so much time and effort on this. Everyone's got, there's a commitment on all of our parts. When it comes budget time, I'm telling you, there's going to be a tough part on the commissioner's part to be able to come up with that money. I think we can do it. But it's no different than the society or the foundation. You gotta come up with the money.
As you know, in 1942, Mr. Troxel left this building to the county museum, Seneca County, to take care of it. This is BS what's been happening for the last 6 to 10 years with the previous commissioners. I'm not sure what happened between 42 and Nutter's rent. I'm sure about taking care of the Seneca County 100% as it states in his that county record. It's just a bunch of BS what's going on here, that you want two entities to take care of a county building that is your building and the people's building. At the same time, we're we're disrespecting a dead man's wish to Seneca County. That's why I don't agree with this whole situation, because you're going against Truxell's agreement with the county commissioners in 1942. This is all history, this is records, this is a contract, this is an agreement that they made. And they said that the county will be paying 100% of the whole operation of the museum, but you do this BS and you turn around and say, okay, we're gonna have A, B, and C take care of it. You guys have nothing to take care of the museum.
There's a
You're
number
responsible.
of things to discuss. First of all, it does not say that the county will take care of the operation of the museum. It says the county will maintain the building. It says nothing about paying for operations of the museum into the future. Secondly, case law will show that you cannot bind future elected officials by what previous elected officials have done. We're going from 1942 until this date. There are a number of things that can happen. We have acted, I think, in a very intelligent way in trying to get this thing put back together. A much different set of discussions than we've had over the past 5 years. I mean, there was some talk not too long ago about selling off the items in there. We're doing what we can best do with the cards that have been dealt us. This agreement clearly states that the museum would not be required to continue operating pursuant to this agreement. All you can do is anticipate what could happen if the museum, historical society, or the foundation decide to pull out of this agreement. We have no choice but to rewrite it with someone else or make a decision, but we can't bind future commissioners as to what they're going to have to do. So we are trying to anticipate what might happen. We're trying to anticipate what it's going to take to run this as well as possible, as efficiently as possible in the future. Everybody has their own idea. I get that. But this document is a combination of the ideas of all those folks involved in the museum. This is what it's come to. Mrs. Stacy worked very hard in trying to get this put together. We all worked very hard in trying to get people to agree to certain things. And this is where we're at this point in time. Now, if you have a different document or a different operating agreement that you'd like to present to us, we'll look at it. If you have a different way to run the museum that you think is not proper the way we're doing it, tell us what it is. I mean, don't give me a problem, give me a solution.
The documents from July 23rd, 1942 in your records.
Okay. If let's just say, for instance, I give the county a car, a building. I give the county a building, and I said, okay, you operate this. But all of a sudden, 20 years from now, the county can't afford that. What do they do with it? What do they do with it? Does that mean I'm obligated, as Commissioner Kirchner said, we cannot bind future commissioners or future elected officials on things that we do? Can't do that.
If it states that it's going to be used as a museum for the county, as it states in his statement, the 1942 commissioners. I just want to know what will happen if Party B fails.
This is the agreement.
We'll address
It
the
says-
agreement as it is then at that point in time, knowing a lot more information than we know right now on how the work's been. I mean, we can't really answer that. We don't
We
know.
can't manage on what might happen.
Well, yeah, we don't know. We just don't know. We know how it's outlined for it, and as these things were developed, with the focus in mind to do what's best for the museum. And that was the mindset that we as a group, collective group, worked on. And Mike did some of those meetings instead of myself, and I think that you mentioned that as well. So at this point in time, does this board have any further comments or discussion on any of these documents, or do you wish to have a motion to adopt these documents so the task force would then continue moving forward with getting the advisory board members' names and then proceed to work towards the process of fulfilling the position, etc.
My last comment on this is that this is thin ice. The longer this program is intact, the thicker the ice is going to be, the better cooperation is going to be. But it's thin now. We understand that. If everyone holds up their end of the bargain, the ice will get thicker and we'll all survive, and the museum will prosper. And it will be a benefit for the whole community. That's what the desire of these commissioners are, the fellow commissioners. I would make a motion that we would adopt
Stacy has a resolution.
res-
Accepting all documents as presented by the museum task force.
I would make a motion that we would adopt all, all documents presented by the museum task force. Second.
Motion and second to accept the documents as presented by the museum task force, which came forth as a recommendation from that group that they voted on.
Well, okay, now would be the time, I'd love to get in the paper, if anyone is interested in setting, to being part of this 3-member appointed board by the commissioners to come forward.
9-member board, 3 appointed by the
Yes, now would be the time to do
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Kirschner,
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller,
that. Yes,
Commissioner Stacy.
Yes, approved, thank you.
thank you, Commissioner Stacy, for your hard work on this. I know this has been difficult.
Well, and the task force members, all of them that participated, to Chuck Gallagher for leading us, Mike did some of those meetings this past winter, so it's been a collaborative effort of many to make it work because of the strong interest, and that's great. Troy Judy has joined us. And rather than move into new business, we can have
Hello, how did you find it?
you talk next so that you aren't stuck in the area too late tonight, so if you would like to go next.
Thank you, and again, very much appreciate being welcomed out to the meeting, commissioners. Very much appreciated. So I wanted to come out tonight, and I apologize about walking in late. I got caught up in traffic getting out of Cleveland. There's something going on there right now, so it's just a little hard to get in and out. But I wanted to join you today to give sort of a recap about some of the meetings in Columbus and give you a report about where we believe things sit, and just maybe go through some recommendations about next steps to move forward on a couple of areas we've identified with our work in Columbus. So obviously, a couple months ago, we had, I think, a very successful visit in Columbus. We had 4 meetings. We saw Jobs Ohio. We saw Representative McCauley, who is now the chairman of the Transportation Subcommittee on Finance. So when it comes to budgets, that's an important guy. We saw Representative Reinke, of course, and had lunch and talked about several things that he wants to work on and areas that I think can be fruitful if we kind of chase those things down that he sees down the road in terms of partnering on funding and projects with between the county and the state. We have essentially boiled down to 3 areas that we want to recommend we focus on in terms of our advocacy to Columbus officials. And one of the areas you highlighted earlier was sort of a looming issue, really, that all counties are facing right now with respect to upgrading voting machines. So this is an issue that counties all around the state right now are starting to. I don't want to say panic, but this is an issue. It's a big chunk of change, and so what we want to recommend is beginning conversations with our contacts with of course, in the County Commissioners Association. The Association of Election Officials is, I think, another key advocacy group. I've been in contact with a couple other of my folks I've worked with on the Franklin County Board of Elections, and for instance, they were talking about beginning their very heavy advocacy to state legislators for funding the next budget, which will begin January 2017. There hasn't been, at least in my finding so far, any clear direction from the Secretary of State as far as the makeup or what counties will be expected to come up with. What kind of ratio, basically, what kind of share is it? Will this be covered by the feds, by the state, or how much from the locals? One example is Clark County actually has started to put away into a fund for future uses on upgrading the voting machines. I think they've already kind of started squirreling money away into an account so that they can spend that later on. But that's an example of what's going on around the state. With that, we wanted to recommend that we move forward with conversations with those associations in addition to the Secretary of State's office to start at least getting kind of direction, because we believe that we'd like to. This next budget is going to be key in seeking guidance on how much the state is going to, do for counties. We think this is a great example of a place where we go in and tell the story about what Seneca County has done to save dollars, become more efficient, and do more with less. And so this is an example where the state can provide some leadership in helping the counties upgrade the voting equipment. So that's the first area that we had highlighted. The second area is on transportation. I read with some, I laughed out loud kind of reading the news article about ODOT's visit here. So of course we've talked about starting conversations with at the highest level with ODOT. And I can tell you actually, so they were just at events that I just left. And so obviously we, on behalf of the county, as a company, don't want to make any contacts that you're not comfortable in us making. But I can tell you, they're all in one room right now. I can go talk to all of them. But what we wanted to recommend was moving forward with a meeting, having Chairman Reinecke and Senator Burke call a meeting with Director Ray. And so he obviously is the top of the food chain when it comes to ODOT. And one of the folks we've worked with for many years is his chief of staff, Matt McCullough. Matt is a troubleshooter type of guy, and we wanted to recommend that we begin conversations there to set up a meeting where we can re-examine the study and re-examine the possibility of having a project end up, on. We just need some higher visibility. They need to know that, we need to reiterate our case, and I think elevating it with the chairman of the Transportation Committee and Representative Reinecke's eyes, and with Senator Burke will elevate us to the administration.
Troy, if I could just interrupt
Yes, sir.
just for a second. I happen to be chair of the Transportation Committee that we're working on coming up with a strategic plan. And we will very soon, within the next weeks, if not month, come up with a priority list of what we're going to ask you to deal with the legislatures on. So we're working on that.
Yeah, we've got, I think 6 to 8 projects that we presented, and the whole committee has received their ranking sheets today, and they have till the week before our next meeting in August to return those ranking sheets to me, so that I can compile them individually, so they can rank them without any votes.
And we're going to look at we're going to short-term project, I think under 36 months, long-term projects over 5 years. That's something we're going to try to get you that information so that you can feed that in and
that's excellent. Having worked down there for so many years, I can tell you that there's just so much input that narrowing it down to something like that will, I think, really give us a good foothold on, what we're trying to push for with them.
Well, having said all that, though, Representative Burke, Senator Burke, has been working hard for us for that withdrawal project. We've been told, at this point, let's concentrate on that and not ask for too much more until we get that thing solidified. So what I don't want to do is try to get in his way.
That's right. I think that's
to get that followed through.
Okay, you got it. What we'll do then, with your permission, is circle around with Senator Burke just to coordinate with him then on that and focus our energy there. But again, lay the groundwork for these later on pieces that we're going to be going to the legislature with, beginning in January. The transportation budget typically it passes in April of the odd number year. So next year in 2017, the budget discussions will begin, January. And hearings will begin sometime in February, but that transportation budget passes in April at least. So it's around that time frame when, at the beginning of the year, when we need to really start, making our case and having a presence and being visible and putting those priority lists out there and making those asks. Just in terms of the timeline. And so the transportation was the second area. The third area was just circling back around with Jobs Ohio. Jobs Ohio identified a couple of areas that they thought would be of interest to us. There's kind of a short list of it, but they have a new program called Site Ohio, and that's basically a database registry of sites that businesses can use to go on the web and search if they're looking for a site, a building, a place to put up a plant, or everything ranging from big plants to small shops. But one of the things they actually highlighted to us when we brought this up to them, because they got a little bit of a reputation for only, I guess, paying attention to big fish, right? So big companies, things like that. And they said they wanted us to know when we met with them that they're very much making an effort to try and focus in on smaller things. I mean, things that create, something that can attract or retain 15 jobs, as opposed to the, 1,500 jobs that they're, usually looked at saying, oh, well, they're not going to care about us because, how are we going to ever land a massive manufacturing plant or something like that? So they wanted us to know that there are the workforce development program, in addition to the Site Ohio, they actually also identified a wind energy they'd like to follow up with us on. And so with your permission, we'd like to move forward with setting up those conference calls and talking with them about how we might utilize those programs. So Jobs Ohio was the third area. And then I know I talked about transportation budget, and just if you were looking for another day, the operating budget then is, of course, the end of June 2017 then. So transportation budget's first, the state operating budget is at the end of June next year. So there'll be, I think, several areas that, in terms of timelines, that we want to have on our radar to be pushing.
Explain to me operating budget.
Yes, sir. The operating budget is, it's really the budget. If you were, referring to the state, the biennial, $52 billion biennial budget, that's the operating budget. Transportation budget, constitutionally, really, there are actually three. There's a workers' compensation budget too. So there are actually, three budgets. There's an operating budget, transportation budget, and those are all separate pieces of legislation, actually. So. And they're constitutionally required to be passed at different dates. But the first one is the transportation budget, and that's in April. But the operating budget funds schools, funds the LGF, local government fund. So that's where being able to walk in and talk about the transportation priority list first is important. Then when we shift to the conversations on the operating budget for other things like the historic preservation tax credit and things like that, we can begin those conversations on a separate track after the priority list.
We can ask the Clark County, we already had a conversation regarding putting money away for the voting machine, and we just got to decide how much.
You're right, that's right.
So I think a lot of counties are talking about that.
That's right. And if you recall, 10 years ago when the machines were put in, it was mostly federal money through Help America Vote Act, the HAVA Act, that allowed counties to make that first big purchase. Franklin County, for instance, is talking about electronic poll books and the possibility of having the legislature write that law. The Secretary of State then would implement those with the idea of it being more cost efficient than. But of course, those debates have to go on about whether or not that's a good thing. Do we trust them? Is there security? So, but just for example, yeah, those are some of the conversations also going on.
Questions? More questions right now?
No, sure. It sounds like just trying to culminate a plan, but then what we're going to need is an update on that plan. Once legislation, once it comes back into session, and try to at least, I would think every 3 weeks or so, just give us an update. What you've kind of given us is a summary of the mission that we set out for you, and you boiled it down, got some specific areas.
That's right.
But then eventually we're going to look at action,
That's right.
And as I think Commissioner Kirschner has mentioned many times, we need to get some low-hanging fruit to be able to justify spending taxpayers' money.
Right.
And that's critically important. We know to get a Super 2, that's a home run. Let's get a couple singles and doubles in here so we can.
Great. Well, we'll plan on proceeding with contacting the folks and setting those conversations in motion then, and plan to just report back on timing and scheduling, and put together sort of talking points and things for those meetings, what the goals are for each of those conversations on those three fronts. Right.
To the good side of what I've learned over the last couple of days being in Cleveland is there's not a lot of counties that have got lobbyists down there, not a lot. So we're on kind of a short list there that, we can, certainly the Franklin and the Lucas's and the big counties got them, but I think this puts Seneca County in light with the big boys. down there, so.
I think you're right, and I think the meeting with Dan Baker, Speaker Rosenberger's budget director, was a great example of making a connection there. I mean, now then staff inside the legislature are the folks that, make the sausage on the inside. So I think making that connection is an example of elevating our visibility at the State House with a very key staff contact, because he'll be able to answer. He's the guy that gets, when the speaker and other legislative leaders turn and ask questions about, what was that again? What line item was that? Why are we doing that? He's the one that answers all of those questions. So I think that was a very excellent contact to make, and he's going to, I think, play a key role in making sure that we get a fair shake this next budget.
Go get him, Tiger.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioners. Very much appreciate your time, and look forward to following.
You done with Cleveland or you heading back?
Back to Cleveland, that's right. Governor Kasich's event is tonight, so.
Governor Kasich is coming?
That isn't confirmed. Off the record, I don't think he's happy with the way things are going, so that's.
I think that's a very encouraging.
Right, I'm trying to be PC.
We'll learn when you do.
That's right.
On the television.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you,
Commissioners, very much appreciate it. Okay.
All right, we can move forward with new business. Start with the bill vouchers.
I got no vouchers batches, 18500 and 18465. I have an appropriation adjustment within the Public Assistance Fund, moving $467 from other expenses to supplies. I have an appropriation adjustment within the General Fund, moving $7,000. The total is $9,182.69 from their domestic relations side to their CP2 side accounts. A supplement to the permanent appropriation for the maintenance and repair fund, putting $556,318.86 into the contract projects line. Appropriation adjustment within the M&R fund is moving $5,000 from his bridge to his pipeline. A resolution authorizing the amendment for the contract between the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board of Seneca, Sandusky, and Wyandotte counties for the 2016 Criminal Justice and Behavioral Health Linkage Grant on behalf of the Seneca County Sheriff's Office. Resolution authorizing Seneca County Department of Job and Family Services to release summer youth TANF monies to Hardin County Department of Job and Family Services, and authorizing Kathy Oliver, Director of Job and Family Services, to sign this and other related documentation. We did this last year. Kathy said, I asked her if she could be here tonight. She couldn't make it. But she said they use other funding to do our summer youth TANF program monies. So we have some available yet left that Hardin County uses or can use instead of necessarily returning it to the state. She thought, we've done this before, help a neighboring county out with some transfer of some funds. So if you want any more questions, I can have her come in, but
You can better factor airport money that way too.
that way too, yes, exactly. I have a resolution amending amendment number 1 for the guaranteed maximum price for early site work and foundation for the Justice Center, pending prosecutor's approval. This is Gil Baines' contract. We got it, the draft last week. All the attorneys have signed off on it, and all the changes that we had wanted in it is in it. So we're excited, at least we get site work moving. And actually, they are going to, I think mobilization is August 1st, with some stuff potentially going on next week. So we're excited to get going. A resolution entering into contract with CTL Engineering Incorporated for construction materials testing and special inspections for the Justice Center, authorizing Holly and Stacy to sign. It's also pending prosecutor's approval, which I think we actually got that from Derek today. So That's the RFPs that we had sent out for the construction testing. A resolution accepting the bid and authorizing an agreement with MMB Asphalt for the issue 1, round 30, 2016 Suffolk County Township Road Reconstruction Program. And I have a resolution authorizing the contract with Remax Unlimited Result Realty for auction services. The Metrics unit had seized a property that has been transferred into the commissioner's name, and like we all know that we can only sell property or equipment, anything like that at public auction. So this property is over by Six's Corners, and it's in ready to sell conditions now.
Courthouse.
It was seized, yes. Yep. And it's actually in very good condition. It's going to do very well at this auction.
In this case, this guy went and put the model.
And he got it very, very, very cheap, and then he did a lot of remodeling. He had renters in there.
Yeah, well, money to put a truck,
Duplexes.
right?
So he's ready to put that up for auction, and that's what that's for. I think it was it September 1st? The auction date. 1st of September. Yep. So they want to get the advertising and stuff in line. Yeah.
I know in some counties, if something's been seized, that it goes back to the sheriff's department for operations. Ours,
It will go
this
back
is
to
the
the
first time
Metro.
this has happened since
Well,
I've
we do cars. I don't recall any houses, but we've seized cars and we sell them at auction, and all the proceeds go back to the Metro.
Maybe you get somebody to buy it and move it, huh?
Pardon?
Maybe you get somebody to buy it and move it.
Well, I wanted to say that, is the excavation done? Is
Oh,
everything up there?
at the airport, yes,
So
the house is
he's-
gone.
I know the house is gone, but he felt that within a couple days, the contractor was gonna push the basement in, and
Yep.
that's all done. So we have fulfilled our agreement with the grant.
Yes.
There's nothing else that he has to do to your money.
Not him, no. We have to get the survey done to get those trees out and get the driveway. And that's what I'm gonna do. Yes.
Okay, move for approval, Madam Chairman, Madam President, within the title.
Have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to approve all the resolutions as presented. Are there any discussions? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Kirschner, Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy.
Yes. All stand approved.
Do we have a meeting next Tuesday?
Thursday.
Thursday at 10 a.m. Thank you for bringing that up. And as a reminder, no meeting Tuesday, meeting Thursday. No end of the month Thursday. Public comments, this is where we're at this point in time. Is there anyone? Or public comments?
I'm switching hats.
Okay.
So this is not Charlene Watkins from Regional Planning, this is me, Charlene Watkins, as board president for Seneca Habitat for Humanity.
Okay.
And I wanted
Here we thought you stated you just like us.
I wanted to invite the commissioners to the extreme build for Seneca Habitat for Humanity on August 6th. It will be at 266 3rd Avenue, and we are starting at 7 a.m. with registration. So if you sign up at registration, you'll get a free hard hat, a free t-shirt, and you get to swing a hammer, or we'll put you to work. If you'd like to volunteer that day, we are glad to have you volunteer. Even if you don't want to swing a hammer, we need help with registration, as well as the lunch line, helping serve lunch. The goal of this is that the home will be completely under roof and sided and windowed, so weather tight by the end of the day. And from what the Seneca County Home Builders Association has told us, they would like to try to have it done by noon. So it is an amazing thing to see. I've witnessed several, and I encourage you to come. I ask that you come. We would love to have you participate.
Did you do a time lapse?
There is a time lapse that was done on one of our previous extreme builds, and it is on our website, on Habitat's website. But we're trying to get that done again in the radio station, trying to get that out there as well, and maybe some news reporters if we can, from some local 7 a.m. I will be there at 6:30 a.m. with my cohort in crime, Gwen Stallard, and we will be starting registration.
So if we came at 7 a.m., is there some things that we can help with if we know, like I've got a commitment that afternoon and they don't know for sure when I have to be there to help them?
If
Is there
you,
something that you can use help with?
yes, if you want to come at 7
Hour
in
and
the
a half
morning,
or something?
yeah, I think you to work at registration.
Okay, okay, well, it's good to know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know I've got things.
And for us, this is an amazing thing to see as a county, to see contractors who compete against one another for business have no competition whatsoever that day. They are working in unison and together, joking, laughing, having a great time, and they're getting the job done. And it's amazing to see. For me, I just kind of stand back and if you want me to hand you something, here you go, or I'll work a table, that's what I do. So, but we would just love to have you there to see what's going on, to see how it happens, or if you want to drive by a couple times and say hi. People love
It
it.
is amazing. I've been by it a couple times when they've done it on the day. It's fascinating.
It's truly something to see.
What day of the week is that?
It's on a Saturday. And then
266 third.
Right on that block where the baseball diamond used to be at Sterling Field, isn't it?
in that.
Okay, that's an 8.
Hmm?
That's 3rd or 4th.
This is third.
Yeah, oh, 3rd.
And that block is, the city closes the street for us that day.
Yeah.
So you park in a different area, you park off of that street, but the street's closed because we've got heavy machinery and things, and who knows where nail guns going.
Yay, I want to be there now.
So you want to come, it's fun. It's a great time. And the really neat thing about it is, it's not only the Home Builders Association that you see volunteering. Our partner families from Habitat who are getting the home will be there working on the home. Partner families who are getting other homes that we're working on are going to be there working on the home. Partner families from the past who received homes will come down and help work on the home. So you get to see how Habitat truly works, and it is a community that wraps around each other.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank
So
you.
will you put your regional planning hat back on? Okay, good. Now that she's got that on, I appreciate your jump in both feet approach to helping with improvements to the fair tax that the county and the County Township Association has. Regional planning has always been a part of, to have an avenue for disseminating fair housing information and display your information and so forth. And it's been great to have someone so enthusiastic and wanting to get engaged. And she's done some things for all of the townships to add to their display with a copy of their section, their piece of the county from the 1854 map.
The 1854 map and the 2014 map. So you'll be able to see the comparison, and they will have a surprise.
Yeah. So that's exciting. So I guess just appreciate that, and I'll encourage people to come out there. And we're going to have Justice Center information in there, along with the place for people to put in their suggestions and things they'd like to see in the time capsule. So my Volvo project is complete once I put some more glue on it. So that'll be at the fair too. So, all right.
We actually have a QR code for regional planning now. If you don't know a QR code, it's that funky little code that you see on everything you can scan with your phone. We have a QR code for regional planning now that's going to be very prevalent, that you can scan it and check in like our Facebook page at the fair. And every day whoever does that, their name will go into random and we'll pull for a drawing for a t-shirt to generate some extra neat stuff.
There you go.
Very good. Thank you.
No other regional planning needs, Fred.
All right, anything else for the good of the order? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
A motion is second, that we adjourn. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved. 4-9, we're adjourned.